Hello and welcome to Security Academy. In this video, we will be discussing SQL Injection, a common website attack. So, what is SQL Injection? SQL Injection is a technique used to modify or retrieve data from SQL databases. With a proper command execution, any unauthorized user can spoof the identity of a privileged user and modify, retrieve, or destroy server data. This typically occurs by sending malicious SQL queries to an API endpoint. In its most severe form, this attack could allow an attacker to gain root access to a machine, giving them complete control. How does SQL injection work? The core vulnerability in these attacks is a SQL query that is reserved for a particular type of data. However, it is instead passed unexpected information like a command. When this command runs, it escapes beyond what it is supposed to do and can allow for potentially malicious behavior. Since the query field is commonly populated from data entered into a form on a web page, users can input anything that they would like, including SQL commands. For example, here is what a normal SQL query looks like versus a malicious SQL query. In the first example, the ID string is passed into a SQL statement to find a match for the ID entered. We want to find the student whose ID number is 400. This statement does that. In the second example, the injection query enters a SQL command or condition into the input field. If the form prompted a user to put an ID number into the search field, in this case the user inputted 400 or 1 equals 1. Since 1 equals 1 is always true for every student in the column, the database query will return all the data from the students table back to the attacker when this statement is run. So, how do we prevent SQL injection attacks? SQL injections are super easy to implement but are also easy to prevent. The first recommended method is use of prepared statements, which forces developers to define all SQL code and pass only specific parameters to the query. Second is to escape all user-supplied input. Escaping a character tells the database not to parse it as a command, but instead literal input. Lastly, stored procedures limits the permissions of the database account running the queries and ensures that non-robust code will lack the permissions necessary to make other queries. Next up, we will be discussing cross-site request forgery.